Hi everyone, keep up the good work. I have some hints for this week's math. If you want all of your Urban Vision dollars, make sure to answer the question completely. Don't forget to write your name and which choice you're doing. That way I know how to best grade it. Also, don't forget to show your work and label your answers where it says to. Make sure to read these questions really carefully. Sometimes it helps to read the questions out loud to yourself. Sometimes when you hear it, it works a little bit different than if you were to just read it. And you can text that phone number on the top of every single assignment if you need any help. Also, for 2nd through 5th grade, there are answer examples to the right of each of your choices. That way you can have help and hints, and it's a template where you can fill in the blanks so you can best answer the questions. Remember, when we're subtracting, we always need to start with the bigger number. So let's say if we're subtracting pens, well, how many pens are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 pens, and let's say we're gonna subtract the ones that are blue. How many pens are blue? There's 1 blue, 2 blue. If there's 5 pens and there's 2 blue, we would do 5 minus 2. So 5 minus 2, so we'll take away 1 and we'll take away 2. 5 minus 2 is 3, because there are 3 pens. The reason we would not do 2 minus 5 is if we said 2 minus 5, we would only start with 2, and we would have to take away 5. Do we have 5 to be able to take away? Let's see. 1, 2, there's only 2 to take away. If we start with 5 and then we take away 2, 1, 2, it works. Otherwise, we run out. Use this for any of the subtraction equations that you have as well. It always will apply. All right, 2nd grade, let's talk about multiplication. Multiplication is just a fancier way to do addition. Sometimes when there's a lot more numbers in an addition equation, it's a lot easier and a lot quicker to make a multiplication equation. Sometimes it's going to be really boring to add up a bunch of numbers, but multiplying will make it so much better. Let's use an example to see how this works. Take a look at these pens. How many pens are in each group? There are 2 pens in each group, so we could do 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. So we could write out 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. What's 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2? 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 10. Or to make it simpler, we can do blank times blank equals blank. So in that case, this blank would be how many groups there are. And this blank would be how many are in each group. This is still going to be the total. So how many groups of pens are there? Let's see. There's 1 group, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 groups of pens. So here we're going to write 5. Okay, next blank is how many are in each group? Well, how many are in this group? There's 2. Same with this one. There's 2 in this group, 2 in this group, 2 in each of the groups. So how many are in each group? There are 2 pens in each group. So we can do 5 times 2, or 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. Because how many times did we have 2? So there's 1 blank, 2 blanks, 3 blanks, 4 blanks, 5 blanks. So there's 5 blanks because there's 5 groups. So 5 times 2 is also 10. So this way takes a lot longer. There's a lot more addition, a lot more blanks, or you can do this really cool fancy way, get the same answer. They both work. But let's try the multiplication way. Does that make sense? Let's try one more example. Now let's take a look at the candy. How many pieces of candy are in each group? Let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 pieces of candy, and each group of candy has the same amount. So each time we see a group of 5, we're going to write it for our addition equation. All right, so 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5. So there's 4 different blanks with the number 5 because there are 4 times that we see the groups of candy. So 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 is 5, 10, 15, 20. let's try multiplication. Remember, the first blank is how many groups there are. The next blank is how many are in each group. The third blank after the equal sign is always the total. Now what happens if we switch the order here? It's going to be the exact same thing. So we can also do how many are in each group. And we can also do how many groups. So even if we start with groups and do how many in each group to get the total, or if we do how many in each group and how many groups there are to get the total, it should come out to the same thing. Let's try it. Okay, so how many groups of candy do you see? Let's see, there's 1 group, 2 group, 3 groups, 4 groups. So there are 4 groups of candy. How many pieces of candy are in each group? Well, we already did that with addition, but let's check again. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 pieces of candy in each group. So we're going to do 5. So 4 times 5, or 5 4 times, because 5, 5, 5, 5, there's 4 different 5s, equals 20. How many are in each group? We already said there's 5 in each group. So we'll put a 5 here. How many groups of candy are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 groups of candy. So 5 times 4 is the same as 4 times 5, because it's still 5 pieces of candy 4 times, also equals 20. So even if you put it in a different order, it still works out. See how much quicker? There's only 2 numbers in the equation before the equal sign, rather than several numbers before. Now you try. Now let's talk about the words vertical and horizontal. Do you ever go and watch the sunset? Have you heard the term horizon? The sunset or the sunrise happens on the horizon. It's the line where the sky meets the ground. There's a straight line where the sunset goes across. What is the root word in horizontal? Do you see the word horizon in there? So because we know what horizontal means, we can know that vertical is up and down, since horizontal is across by process of elimination. Now, another way to look at this is knowing the terms rows and columns. Let's think of an example. In church, or in the sanctuary at Urban Vision, where we watch plays and the ballet and we do kids club and all the other things, what do we sit in? We sit in all the rows. See how these rows are going across or horizontal. Now, let's look at a picture of the gym at Urban Vision. Look at these pillars that are holding the gym up. You can see pillars in a lot of places, churches or big old buildings, maybe even some of your houses or the houses in your neighborhood. These pillars or columns are what hold the building up, and they go up and down or vertical. Keep that in mind as you're doing your multiplication work. Let's look at one more example. Do you ever do crossword puzzles? Know how the hints say across and down? So across is horizontal and down is vertical. Remember that rows are horizontal. So these are all the rows in my calendar, just like the rows of the sanctuary. What about columns? Think about the columns that you saw in the gym. So these here are columns, and the columns are vertical. So if we're going to look at the first row, how many are in that row? 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 squares in the row. What about the column? How many squares are in the column? We're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 squares in that column. So instead of having to count every single square in this calendar, if we want to find out how many there are, we can multiply. Do you remember the work we did at SOS when we found the area and the perimeter? Well, multiplying is just like finding the area. So we're going to multiply the width times the length, or the rows by the columns. So there are 4 squares in the row and 5 squares in the column. So we can say that 4 times 5 equals 20. If we wanted to check our work, we can also count how many are in there. So 1, 2, 19, 20. Make sure you do your multiplication for your answer, but you can always count to check your work.
Here's an example of why you use multiplication to figure out the answer to this question. So you can have a chocolate cupcake with purple icing, or chocolate cupcake with pink icing, or chocolate cupcake with blue icing, and so on. And so as you look at where all the choices are, it actually ends up looking like an array, just like all the other problems.
Great job on all your hard work. I'm very proud of you guys, and you should be proud of yourselves too. I can't wait to see all of the hard work you do for this week. Praying for you, and I love you all, and I miss you guys so much, but I know we'll see each other again. So keep working hard and keep doing good.